Okay, welcome Facebook friends. We're about ready to go live. You're back studio here with Ken D. Foster. My guests today are Sharon Lechter from the Napoleon Hill Foundation and Think and Grow Rich for Women, and also Lisa Nichols, Motivating the Masses, is here also with us. So this is going to be quite the show. Pay attention.
Voices of Courage is sponsored by Ken D. Foster.
It's time to take a journey, to find your courage, break through your limits, and master your destiny. It's time for Ken D. Foster's Voices of Courage. Ken brings you some of the most courageous people on the planet that will inspire greatness within you and change your life for the better. It's time to see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible. It's time for Voices of Courage. And here's your host, Ken D. Foster.
Well, welcome everybody. Today is an amazing day. We have two brilliant guests in my studio today. If you're watching me live on Facebook right now, you can see Lisa Nichols from Motivating the Masses and Sharon Lechter, who has been associated with Rich Dad, Poor Dad for created that brand, and also she's part of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. They're both going to be on this show. Listen, this show is a show you're not going to want to miss. You're going to want to listen to it a couple times and tell all of your friends about it. The name of it is The Courage to Break Through Your Limits. So I was at Disneyland a while back, and when I was there with my grandchildren and my wife, I had a hat on. If you can see me in studio, if you can see me in studio, I had this hat on, and a fellow walked up to me and he said, "You look like Clint Eastwood. You're Clint Eastwood." And I said, "No, I'm not Clint Eastwood. No, this is wrong. This is not me." And he wouldn't stop. He just kept coming at me. He said, "I want to take your picture." I said, No. And now my wife is Hispanic, and I guess Clint Eastwood's wife is Hispanic, right? Uh-huh. And I said, "No, this is not me." But he just kept coming at me. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because he really got me confused with somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. But the reason I tell that story is because most people don't think I'm Clint Eastwood. Most people walk up to me and think I'm Richard Gere. I don't think I look like Richard Gere at all, but thank you for the compliment, okay? But the point is this. We confuse not only who others are, we confuse who we are. And this show is all about really redefining who you are. And, I want to ask that question. Who are you, right? Right. When I was younger, I thought I was my hair. I thought I was my car. I thought I was my girlfriend. I thought I was my house when I bought one, right? And I was confused. And it's funny because I think most of us don't ask that question. Who are we really? I think this. If you don't know who you are, you probably feel disempowered and disenfranchised. I know a couple of years ago, I was sitting around with my wife, and even though we knew who we were, we were sitting around thinking, we don't feel good about what's going on in the world. We felt very disenfranchised. We're part of nonprofits. We're giving. We're part of political groups. We're still feeling disenfranchised. And I said to Judy, I said, what do you think has to change for us to be able to change the world? And it came to both of us. We needed to change ourselves. Right. We needed to change how we looked at life. We needed to change how big we were playing. Right. We needed to put our voices out in the world in a different way. And quite frankly, that's really the message of this show today. We can all change the world, but we can't do it by watching more political together. I was thinking, all of us have these amazing gifts. They're like buried treasures within each one of us. But why don't we bring those treasures to light? Why is it that we have so many challenging situations in the world and they seem to repeat themselves time in and time out? Well, I think this. I think that most people have a fear of their own greatness. And I think Marianne Williamson said it well years ago. She said our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so other people won't feel won't feel insecure around you. So if you think about that, and I've been thinking about that, it's like, well, where can I play bigger? What can I do bigger? And actually, Sharon Lechter and I were in the green room this morning. She said, what's your vision for this show? And I said, my vision is to have this show in 300 markets. I want to franchise it to 300 markets, right? I'm in 18 right now. I'm doing okay. But I want to take it out there. Why do I want to do that? Because I believe we need to change the conversations that we're having in this world. Again, we don't need more political commentaries. We don't need more news shows on what's wrong with the world. We need to take our own power back and start looking at what's working in our life, what's not working in our life, and start to change those conversations so that we can all step up and change the uncertainty that we have that's going on in the world today. So if this resonates with you, I've written a book. It's called The Courage to Change Everything. And it's strategies and wisdom to transform your life one day at a time. Now, you can't get it yet, but you can go to my website at thecouragetochangeeverything.com, and you can pre-order that book. It's coming out in November. And I'm so blessed to have some amazing testimonials on that book, one of which the lady is sitting in studio with me. So I'm gonna read Lisa's testimonial for that book. She said, "The Courage to Change Everything is an inspired piece of work. It will guide you on what may be the most important journey of your life, the inner journey to connect with your courage and design your destiny. It will awaken your spirit and inspire you to overcome the challenges facing you. If you are looking to advance your thinking and evolve your life, get the book." Lisa, thank you for that testimonial. I appreciate that. And I just wanted to read just a little part of the day one. So this book was written for individuals like myself who need a little encouragement every single day, whether it's a good day or a bad day. They need a little wisdom in their life, and they need a little direction on some action steps to take. And that's what the book is based on. So day one, it says, the most courageous act you can do is master your mind and master yourself. Today is the day to plan on taking your life to new heights. It's time to make new choices. It's a time of renewal and rebirth. It's a time to let go of the past and those things that have not served you well. It's a time to throw off the portals of limitations and open to new possibilities. And it's time to set intentions, create a success list, and bring new life to your greatest dreams. Today, ask, what is the core of who I am? What am I being called to do differently? And how will my business and life evolve so that I have the greatest year ever? Here are the actions. Your future is as bright as you proclaim it to be. Repeat the new point of view affirmation 6 times and feel a sense of empowerment. Well, now, what are the new point of view affirmations? It says this: beginning today, I will create a new future by creating a new me. I will do what it takes to remold my thinking, become all I was meant to be. I will bring forth my brilliance and create excellence in all areas of my life. I will change my perceptions, words, and actions again and again until I have found the road to success by evolving myself into being the change I want to see in the world. I promise you, if you do this every day for the next 365 days, you tune into that, your life is going to be better and better and better. Now, I would like to introduce my first guest. Her name is Lisa Nichols. She is the world's most requested motivational speakers. She's touched the lives of nearly 30 million people, and she comes from a struggling single mom on public assistance to becoming a millionaire entrepreneur. Lisa's courage and determination have inspired fans worldwide and helped countless audiences break through to discover their own untapped talents and infinite potential. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ken. I think the hardest thing to do is to sit and listen to your own bio. I just go fast forward. It's all about what we're up to in the world from this day forward. So thank you for that generous introduction. And I love what you're up to.
That bio is well deserved and a
amen.
lot of work behind it.
I received that. It's just awkward to sit still and listen to it without interrupting with the distraction. So amen. It's a growing process. I'm just grateful to be able to be of service and to be with you again. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
It's been, I think you were at the Women's Wisdom Group last year, was it?
Yeah, and I always love being with you and the ladies and your beautiful wife.
Yeah, that's great.
So thank you for having me.
That's great. Well, actually, Sharon's in studio. She came down from Phoenix, and she's going to speak at Women's Wisdom tomorrow.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
My second time. I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome.
I'm excited to
So let me just tell my listeners that are out there, if you want to see Sharon and connect to a group of entrepreneurial women that are really empowering one another in the leadership.
Dynamic group.
Yeah, so they can go to womenswisdom.net. That's womenswisdom.net to sign up to see Sharon tomorrow.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. I enjoy going.
So listen, you heard the monologue here. What do you think? You think that we're listening to the wrong conversations? Do you think we're tuning into the wrong messages here? What's your point of view?
I think that to be very mindful of what goes into our heart, goes into our soul, what's going into our being. I'm very mindful of what I listen to because you're being fed in many different ways. Just like you drink this water that's on the counter, you eat food, you're eating information, and everything has an energetic vibration. Everything you say, you do, the people you're around. I think to be very mindful. I don't listen to a lot of the rhetoric. I mean, people always say, "Did you hear about?" I probably didn't. If it wasn't amazing, I probably didn't. And if I heard about it, I didn't listen for a long time. If it wasn't serving what I'm putting out in the world, I was just telling someone the other day that my responsibility is to deliver possibility to people. So I can't eat garbage and then try to feed people something amazing. So I'm not dismissing any of the information out there, but I do think to be mindful. I always tell people, you wouldn't pick up a piece of rotten bread. You wouldn't pick up a piece of molded bread because you know that it's not going to feel good going in. Same thing for information, for people, for experiences. Be mindful of what you listen to with friends, with family, on television, everywhere. Be mindful of what you subject yourself to. I had to stop looking at some movies that I really liked, like shows, that I won't say the names, but they were entertaining, but they had me very guarded. They had me worried about people, looking at everyone with suspect versus possible.
I can relate to that. I know in my bedroom there have been a few characters on TV I would not invite in my house.
And then I would look at them right before I went to bed. So now I'm taking my rest time. So yes,
that's funny. Okay, well listen, we're going to be talking about how to define who you are and how to step into your greatness as we come right back.
We'll be back with more Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster.
Attention business owners. The feeling of being overwhelmed, stressed out, and facing difficult business challenges goes hand in hand with being an entrepreneur. But there are solutions, and it's time to explore the possibilities. You work hard as an entrepreneur. Give yourself the break you deserve. Ken D. Foster is the business coach for you. Ken has over 21 years of experience with leaders just like you, who trust to share what is truly going on in their business and that thing called life. You're invited to set up a free confidential consultation with Ken. His wisdom, guided methods, and unique strategies will bring you to new heights and break through obstacles. Visit kendfoster.com to set up your free confidential consultation. It's time to achieve your dreams because you deserve a successful business and a balanced, happy life. Sound great? Find out how to make this happen. Visit kendfoster.com. That's kendfoster.com. kendfoster.com.
Are you feeling stuck or in a holding pattern with your business or life and you're not doing the things you want or love? Then at some point, you're going to be faced with a decision. You'll either choose to keep living in your comfort zone and risk a life of mediocrity, or increase your courage Step into your power and forge into the unknown, where everything new becomes possible. If you're truly ready to live masterfully, then you need Ken D. Foster's newest book, The Courage to Change Everything, Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. This powerful but simple guide provides you with 365 days of life-transforming wisdom, profound questions, and action steps that will increase your strength and open the doors to success. Stop wondering why your business or life isn't working. The answers are available now. Imagine if you had more courage or another chance to start following your dreams. To pick up your copy of The Courage to Change Everything, visit thecouragetochangeeverything.com. That's thecouragetochangeeverything.com.
We're back with Voices of Courage. And now your host, Ken D. Foster.
Well, welcome back. So glad you joined us today. Today, we're talking about the courage to break through your limits. And listen, if you're needing a little inspiration today, if you're in a place in your life you're thinking that, you know what, I would really like to take my life to a different place. Maybe it's in your relationships. Maybe it's in your career. Maybe it's in your health or fitness. Maybe it's with a family member. You're ready to just break through your limits and take it to the next step. Well, that's what we're talking about today. And my guest in studio is Sharon Lechter and Lisa Nichols. Right now we're talking to Lisa. Lisa, we were just talking about what you stick in your mind and you stick in your body will basically determine how much energy, love, joy, happiness, and everything else you have in your life. Is that true?
Yeah, it's feeding you. I mean, everything is feeding you, and everything is serving a purpose, and everything has an energetic outcome. Everything, the way we engage with each other. You know when someone walks in the room and you feel good. You're like, oh, they got a great energy. They just lift me up. That's real, you know. And so what we're feeding ourselves is important. And I think a lot of times we mind our food much more than we mind our conversation. And I'm a big steward of mind your conversation, mind your company, mind what you're listening to. All of it's either adding value to you or it's becoming a distraction. There's a lot of noise out there now. It's a lot of distraction. And so you want to move your distraction and be laser focused on the goal so that it doesn't take you 5 years to get somewhere that should have taken you a year and a half.
You know, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and about the distractions. I talk to a lot of people who have a lot of great ideas. They just can't seem to get rid of the distractions long enough to be able to go out and create their own brilliance.
But I also believe that we use distractions as a reason to not show up for ourselves as well, Ken. So I know that I've done that. When you can touch many things and be decent at them all, then you give yourself a break to not be extraordinary at one thing because you can be decent at a number of things. We also use our family and our community as a distraction. Well, I got to be here for the kids, and your being here for you does not mean you have to choose between you and your children, you and your spouse, you and your community. You get to do both. We have a scarcity mentality a lot of times when we should live in an abundant mentality. It's not or, it's and. Like I get to have my life. You know, I think
I come across a lot of people that have a quote abundant mentality, and they've got a lot of different things in their life. But I like what you said. They're not a master at any of them.
Right.
They're just kind of mediocre.
They're not drilling deep. I mean, I always say I'd rather drill deep and get a result than drill wide and just touch a lot of things. I'd rather produce a result. If we move to becoming more outcome driven, like what's the outcome? I'm experiencing a lot, but what's the outcome that I'm producing in any one place? And when I shifted that for myself, because I'm only speaking about the woman that I had to evolve out of. I'm not speaking as a teacher solely. I'm speaking as a student as well, that I found that I could touch a lot of things and make an impact in all, but I didn't produce a phenomenal result in any of them. And so when I said, hold on, let me follow this to the fourth quarter. I always say we can start first quarter with many things, but it's the fourth quarter that matters. Matter of fact, when I'm looking at a basketball game with my dad, I go, Dad, call me when the fourth quarter comes. Because
I do the same thing with the Super Bowls and everything else.
I'll just watch the fourth quarter. Call me a fair weather fan, but I'm going to watch the fourth quarter. Yeah. And so if we look at what does the fourth quarter look like, more often, and how is it going to end up, then it makes a big difference.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh, listen, you didn't start on top of the world. I know you you started in a place that probably a lot of people wouldn't want to go.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are a lot of people that are struggling right now.
Yeah.
You know, they're struggling in finance or career or health.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How did you lift that self-esteem up and so you started taking care of yourself?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me be very clear that I was in a dark place and didn't even know I was in a dark place because things around me looked decent. When my son was born, I have a great family, an amazing family, but I couldn't quite believe in Lisa enough. I kept seeing who I could be, but I couldn't see who I was in the moment. I just saw that word potential.
Right.
And I was on government's assistance. I didn't have the money to put Pampers on my son at one point, so I had to wrap him in a towel. The banking message I got most often was insufficient funds for everything. I was broke and I was broken. Being broke was easier than being broken, Ken. Being broke, I just had to figure out how to make money. Being broken, I had to figure out how to have the courage to give myself a second chance or a 19th chance. And one day I just said, and it didn't happen overnight. I want to say that. It was a discovery that I realized that I was more afraid of living a life the way I was currently living than I was willing to give myself another chance at the possibility that I fell at that chance. And so what I love to push out to people is to say, listen, be willing to give yourself a chance, even at the risk, the possibility that you might fail. But at least you failed flying. You failed leaping. You failed soaring. You failed giving love a chance again. You failed giving yourself a chance again. At least. So I have so many bruises on me from falling, but every bruise has a great story of how I leaped and gave myself a chance. And so I decided one day, which took me 3 years, by the way. It wasn't one day, 24 hours. Right. It was one day, 365 times 3, to go, what if I loved myself in spite of my journey? What if I gave myself permission to have loved incorrectly, to have invested incorrectly? What if I gave myself to have done all of that and I still get to leap and be joyful and be happy and have love in my life and have finances? What if even though my family... So
it didn't matter where you are, and that's the message
I stopped keeping score.
Stop keeping score where you were and started tuning into...
Or what you've done. Or what you've done.
Yeah.
That was the big thing, is that I kept going, but I did this, but I did that, but God, I did this, but God, I did that. Right. When I stopped keeping score and realized that who I have been doesn't equal who I can become. That who I can become is a clean slate today. It just requires me to start creating today and to detach myself from all of who I've been and stand on it, not in it. So I began to use my history as my fuel, not my fortress.
That's good. That's good.
And it made all the difference in the world.
Yeah. And so I like what you said, you were in it, but you didn't even know you were in it, or paraphrasing, you didn't realize that you were in a dark spot. I think a lot of folks don't realize that you're in a dark place. I know that's how that was my story.
Our chaos is normal.
Everything was going along okay, but there was you knew there was always something missing though.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, when I went to the bank and it said I had $11.42 and I had to wrap my son in a series of towels for 2 days, I kind of felt, I'm like, this might not be good. This is not the life.
So how did you use that pain as a motivator,
as a fuel?
How did you use that?
A couple of things. Number one, before I chased where I wanted to be, I got really crystal clear on where I didn't want to be anymore. So I gave it a $sign. I gave it a time of day. I gave it a what it looked like. I was really clear. So most people just want to chase possibility. I was willing to sit in the sober, ugly, nasty, stinky reality of this is where I don't want to be. Let me look at my bank account. I took a picture of my bank account. Let me take pictures of my house. I got so clear. And Ken, I'm kind of intense. So I'm like, you know what? I'm a grown woman. Let me just do it like a grown woman would. Let me get crystal clear. I don't want to be in this relationship like this anymore. So I got a picture. And then I said, what's the opposite of this? And then I said, now, how do I go get that? Everything I wanted was outside my comfort zone. So I began to get comfortable staying uncomfortable so that I can continue to grow. Nothing I wanted was inside my comfort zone. Everything required me to do something I wasn't currently doing. And that's what I became intimately connected with, because we try to do the same thing and get a different result.
So real quick, give my audience one or two tips on how to get how to use this, what you're telling them.
Absolutely. So I used to just kind of let my days flow. I got into time management. Okay. I used to spend my money without tracking it. I began to track my budget. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the third thing is I began to place myself around people who were thinking differently than me, and they looked differently than me. I put myself in conferences where there was no other African-American person. Not that I need to be away from them, but I want to learn about money.
How does my audience get a hold of you today? How do they get a hold of you?
Motivating the masses, motivating, motivating the masses, masses.com, motivating the masses. Click on personal development and go through this abundance webinar that I have.
That's amazing. Okay, well, listen, coming up, I'm going to bring Sharon Lechter into this conversation. Sharon has been the founder, CEO of Rich Dad Companies for many, many years. She created an international brand. She's part of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and she's got some amazing gifts and stories to tell us on how to take your life to a completely new level. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with more Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster.
Are you feeling stuck or in a holding pattern with your business or life, and you're not doing the things you want or love? Then at some point, you're going to be faced with a decision. You'll either choose to keep living in your comfort zone and risk a life of mediocrity, or increase your courage, step into your power, and forge into the unknown, where everything new becomes possible. If you're truly ready to live masterfully, then you need Ken D. Foster's newest book, The Courage to Change Everything, Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. This powerful but simple guide provides you with 365 days of life-transforming wisdom, profound questions, and action steps that will increase your strength and open the doors to success. Stop wondering why your business or life isn't working. The answers are available now. Imagine if you had more courage or another chance to start following your dreams. To pick up your copy of The Courage to Change Everything, visit thecouragetochangeeverything.com. That's thecouragetochangeeverything.com.
Would you like to help someone in need to move from poverty to prosperity? Stars of Courage, a 501c3 nonprofit, is looking for established life coaches with experience in education and career mentorship to build confidence and create clear paths to success. Join our team of experienced coaches in a wide variety of fields, equipped with warm hearts with a passion for lifting up those in need. Our Stars of Courage. Find out how you can make a difference at starsofcourage.org. That's starsofcourage.org.
We're back with Voices of Courage. And now your host, Ken D. Foster.
Well, welcome back to Voices of Courage. Today we're talking about the courage to break through your limits. I'm here in the studio with Lisa Nichols and Sharon Lechter, and I'd like to introduce Sharon. Sharon is an international bestseller of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She's released 14 other books in the Rich Dad series. Over 10 years as a co-founder and CEO, she led the Rich Dad Company into an international powerhouse. In 2008, she was asked by the Napoleon Hill Foundation to help re-energize the powerful teachings of Napoleon Hill, and Sharon released 3 best-selling books in cooperation with the foundation, including Think and Grow Rich, 3 Feet from Gold, and Outwitting the Devil. And her latest project, Think and Grow Rich for Women, was released in 2014, although that's not your latest project. I know that. So, Sharon, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ken. I'm delighted to be with you, and it was a great surprise to see Lisa again. So this is great.
Yes.
Wasn't that fun? What a conversation we're having. You know, listen, you didn't start out in the top of the Rich Dad Companies and creating all this amazing power in your life and other people's life. Where did you start from? Where did this all come from?
Well,
you were a Midwest girl. What were you?
I actually grew up in Florida. I was a Navy brat. So my dad retired from the Navy when I was 8 and retired to Orlando before Disney. And I actually lived in a house between my mother's beauty shop and my dad's car lot. So we were definitely they were both entrepreneurs. I swore I would never be an entrepreneur.
Right.
Yeah, got my college degree. Neither of them had college degrees, so first generation, and went off to Atlanta to start my career in the big city with the Big 8 accounting firm. And by the ripe old age of 25, when we know everything, right? At 25,
of course, yeah. I'm dealing with some of those right now.
Why am I working this hard? Yeah, I'm working this hard for them. I should be working this hard for me. And that's when the entrepreneurial bug bit me and said, wake up, that's the way to go. And so I've been starting companies ever since.
Well, listen, I know that one of the challenges that stop a lot of people from really becoming an entrepreneur or doing their dream is that they're afraid of failure. I would guess to say you've probably failed many times.
Absolutely. And the fear of failure is really at the top. There's also that fear of success. Well, Lisa was kind of talking about that a little bit. But I think almost the biggest one is fear of criticism. We live in a society where we judge ourselves through the eyes of other people. We judge ourselves as a wife, a mother, an author, an entrepreneur, sister, daughter. But if you can be a better you, I realized this, years ago, and I'm still working on it. If I'm a better Sharon, then I'm a better mother, wife, author, entrepreneur. And so many of us in this world, we literally judge ourselves through the roles we play instead of who we are.
Yeah, and who we are at the deepest level. In fact, in Sanskrit, right, the ancient teaching, ancient scripture of Sanskrit, it says we are Sat Chit Ananda, which ever conscious, ever existing, ever new bliss. And I really relate to that because at the core, isn't that what we are? When we're in the zone, that's how I feel. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. And you're doing it right. But when you are in that element of fear, no matter where that fear, what do? You close down. You get smaller. You hide. You go to a dark place, a dark room. And what does that do? Just makes it worse. And so not only is it what you feed your mind and what you feed your body, but it's also the environment that you put yourself in and allow yourself to reach out and let others give you a hand up, not a hand out. And that gives you the opportunity to expand your mind through wisdom. It gives you the opportunity to stretch outside that comfort zone because we talk about wanting to have a team around us to support us, but you want a team that also challenges you because it's through those challenges that allow us to step outside that comfort zone. And that's really where your success is waiting for you. It could be right there waiting for you to seize it. You just have to take that. And I don't say leap of faith. I go take a leap with faith. With faith of what that burning desire that you can accomplish it, that it needs to be done. The most successful businesses either solve a problem or serve a need. And when you focus always, every morning when you get up, what is the problem you're solving? What is the need you're serving? That's going to give you the energy to get through those valleys because we all have them. We
all have them, and the question I ask is, if I was courageous right now, what would I be doing? Because I think that's what you're talking about. We have to find that courage. We have to find that spark in us. When it's funny because we all go through this times when it gets dark, and the illusion is there. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter if it's business, relationship, even if we're in a great relationship, a great business. So we have times that we struggle. And when we're in that place, all we can see are things from that, because a lot of times we sink into fear. All we can see and think about are the fearful thoughts, right? When you're there, you got to pop out. How do you pop out of that?
Life happens, and sometimes things happen to us that stop us in our tracks. Right. 5.5 years ago, I lost my youngest son. And until that, I have always played big, always taking to the largest masses, motivating the masses, right? And I stopped, and I put my life in neutral and was totally basically still, I had been very successful, so I still was busy, but I was not being proactive. I was not playing big. I was just being reactive, coasting and neutral, and it didn't feel very good. And
that happens to a lot of people. It's happened to me. It's happened to you. It's probably happened to Lisa, where a life changing event takes place. Now you own a business. You're in a relationship. You're giving to a nonprofit or whatever you're doing. How do you take that mindset that is feeling this loss, this tragedy, and be able to turn it around so that you can actually be productive again? How does that happen? I mean, don't you feel your feelings and get into it and feel sad? And what happens?
Well, the loss is always there, but the issue is also realizing. And in fact, I think I had a message or two from my son saying, "Get over it, Mom. There's more for you to do, right? There's more for you to do." Yeah. And it's like, all right, am I going to continue living this way and not feel like I'm adding value? Or am I going to say, okay, there is more for me to do and I need to get back in high gear? Because everyone listening to this show is an expert. Nobody's walked in your shoes. Nobody's gotten over the problems that you've had the successes that you've had. What you have done in your life can help someone else who isn't where you are yet. And it's our goal to support everyone. And if we can add value to other people's lives, what a much better world we would be in. Right. And don't say it's easier for her to say, because 5.5 years ago, I wasn't helping anybody. I was saying I knew what song to sing, but the person I was helping least was myself, because I was giving in to that depression and that sadness. And when I could wake up and say, I need, for me, to feel of value, and I can feel value when I'm driving and being proactive and driving my own life and making that choice to be in the driver's seat.
Right.
It's interesting, but I know I've experienced this in my own life. There are some times when we're stuck that we like being stuck. We might like the feeling of being the victim, or feeling sad, or feeling angry, right?
Pity parties.
Well, we just like those feelings, right? We're just kind of used to them, but we realize that they don't work. How do you know when it's time to change paths and change directions and move into a new place?
When you realize you haven't had a lot of ups emotionally, excited. When you know that you're excited about something and you have high energy, it shines in every part of your being. And when you realize that you are coasting, and I call it complacency, right? Where you're getting up and you're doing the same thing every day. And you're not expanding your network, you're not expanding your opportunities, you're not expanding what you're doing to help someone else. And you recognize that and say, I'm not feeding my soul. I'm not really supporting myself because I'm not helping anybody else. And when you start doing that, you start feeling yourself be bigger, be kinder, and start realizing that the more you give, the more you get back to yourself. Okay. And when I was a little girl, my dad would ask me every night, have you added value to someone's life today? I still ask myself every night.
I've got to take a break. We'll be back right back. I want to talk to you about, and both of you, how do we feed our soul? What's that about? We'll be right back.
We'll be back with more Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster.
Are you feeling stuck or in a holding pattern with your business or life, and you're not doing the things you want or love? Then at some point, you're going to be faced with a decision. You'll either choose to keep living in your comfort zone and risk a life of mediocrity, or increase your courage, step into your power, and forge into the unknown, where everything new becomes possible. If you're truly ready to live masterfully, then you need Ken D. Foster's newest book, The Courage to Change Everything: Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. This powerful but simple guide provides you with 365 days of life-transforming wisdom, profound questions, and action steps that will increase your strength and open the doors to success. Stop wondering why your business or life isn't working. The answers are available now. Imagine if you had more courage or another chance to start following your dreams. To pick up your copy of The Courage to Change Everything, visit thecouragetochangeeverything.com. That's thecouragetochangeeverything.com.
Would you like to help someone in need to move from poverty to prosperity? Stars of Courage, a 501c3 nonprofit, is looking for established life coaches with experience in education and career mentorship to build confidence and create clear paths to success. Join our team of experienced coaches in a wide variety of fields, equipped with warm hearts with a passion for lifting up those in need. Our Stars of Courage. Find out how you can make a difference at starsofcourage.org. That's starsofcourage.org.
We're back with Voices of Courage. And now your host, Ken D. Foster.
Well, welcome back to Voices of Courage. Today our show is all about the courage to break through your limits. I have two incredible guests in studio today. I have Sharon Lechter, who is the amazing co-creator and founder of the Rich Dad Companies, and also she's been associated with Napoleon Hill Foundation for the last several years, written several books, one of which is Think and Grow Rich for Women. And I also have Lisa Nichols in the studio, who's all about motivating the masses, one of the top motivational speakers in the world. We're talking really about you. We're talking about us. We're talking about how we can make changes in our lives, and effective changes, so that we can really bring more of us or you into the world. So, Sharon, we were talking about how to feed the soul. What is that? How do we feed our souls?
Well, we all have habits, and they're either good or bad. And so what are you feeding not just your body, but your mind, and who are you doing it with? Take a moment and assess who you spend your time with, because that's going to give you a good reflection of how goodness you're feeding yourself. Are you hanging out with people who can really challenge you and stretch you and support you to create goodness in your own life? If not, reevaluate who you spend your time with. And sometimes it's our own family, particularly when you are an entrepreneur, because you're changing and they're not. And so a lot of times your own family will hold you back. And so pay attention to that. Limit the amount of time you're around them, because you can't get rid of our family. But they're going to be your biggest cheerleaders once you're successful. They may ask you for a loan, but they're going to. They want you to succeed. Their fear is that they see you changing and they're not. And so the biggest example you can be for them is to continue driving your dream and knowing that you have a burning desire to focus and pay attention. And what happens is whatever we are focused on is what is going to become reality. And so I tell people, if you're worried all the time about life, what are you attracting?
That's good.
The definition of to worry is to pray for what you don't want.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Right. And we started this segment with a prayer of what we wanted this show to be.
Right.
So if instead, when you catch yourself thinking that negativity or worrying, stop and say, wait, I'm not going to focus on those negative thoughts, what I don't want to have happen. Retool it and start focusing on what you do want to come to reality, what you do want to have happen. And it really will create a difference in your physiology, in your attitude, and your actions.
It's interesting because I think a lot of my guests, a lot of my audience have heard this. We've put out this message time and time again. But why doesn't it stick? Why can one person hear that? I get it. My environment needs to change. I need to look at the people in my life. I need to look at my values. I need to go, here's what I stand for. Here's what I value. I'm going to find people like that in my life, and I'm going to surround myself with it. And the next person will hear that same message, and they do nothing about it. What's the difference? Because
they don't create the habit. In the book Outwitting the Devil, which I released, and it was hidden away for 75 years, Napoleon Hill had written it, and it was all about fear. And he talks about hypnotic rhythm. And it can be positive or negative. And so if you get into a cycle of watching TV, hanging out, not really driving yourself, not paying attention to how you spend your time, it becomes a habit. And so you go to a seminar and somebody says, gets you revved up, and you come home and automatic you're back into that habit of not doing anything. That's why you have to have that ongoing support and create new habits so that your hypnotic rhythm can become doing the right things. When I talk to people about their habits that are hugely successful, there's a lot of similarities. They get up early, they exercise, they watch what they eat, they read, they're voracious readers. Everybody I talk to that has a high level of success has established those habits.
Okay, so I got first of all, I want to let my audience know how to get a hold of you. Then I want to bring Lisa in on the conversation. So tell us how we get a hold of you.
SharonLechter.com, SharonLechter.com, or on Facebook, Sharon Lechter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Play Big Movement.
Play Big Movement. Okay. And let me just repeat that website, www.sharon, SharonLechter, LechtR.com. Okay, great. Now, Lisa, I want to bring you into this conversation because this is powerful stuff. And, it's that conversation about, how do you feed your soul? And, we're talking about everybody does the same thing, okay, the same. But, how do you feed your soul? But how do you get motivated to feed your soul?
Right. I think, Sharon, you made many excellent points, and you talked about the vibration kind of changing. You got to change your code. But why, Ken, to your question, why do people not do it?
Yeah.
There's one phrase: people become more committed to a familiar, keyword is familiar, discomfort, than they are to an unfamiliar, keyword is unfamiliar, new possibility. I'll say that again because that's worth the price of admission anywhere. We're more committed to a familiar, keyword is familiar. We don't like it, but it's familiar to us, discomfort, than we are to an unfamiliar, keyword again, unfamiliar, new possibility. Hence is why people will stay at a job that they hate for the last 15 years. Why? Because it's familiar.
Wow.
They'll stay in a relationship that doesn't serve them. Why? Because it's familiar. They'll stay in a body size that they're not crazy. Why? Because it's familiar. It is the most crazy assessment, but
it's
familiar.
But it's true.
They don't like it.
Yeah.
They don't like it, but
Right.
it's familiar, and people are hesitant to go into the unknown, even if the unknown is better.
That's right.
Yeah, they
That's
don't like change.
They don't like change.
Right. And
when I woke up, when I was waking up, I was in therapy for a year, right? And I come back to my therapist and I said, listen, I've heard this voice. The voice says you got to feel the pain to make the change. I said, what do you think about that, doctor? He says, I think you need to follow that voice. And I walked out of that office thinking, man, either I'm crazy or he is, because he's telling me to follow voices. I'm here trying to get those voices out of my head. But that was the exact thing, because I had to feel the pain. We had to go get in the uncomfort zone. We had to move into that place or nothing happened.
Well, and it's about asking yourself, are you willing to live in an unfamiliar place? To Sharon and I both said it in a very different way. We're having the same conversation, right?
Yeah.
And it's being willing to sit on the other side of your comfort zone. I said I went to a conference where no one looked like me. That was uncomfortable. I went to a conference where there were 800 people, 3 women, and 1 other person of color, and the average person was 18 years older than me. Everything about it was unfamiliar. But I also knew that if I'm willing to sit in an unfamiliar new possibility, I can become familiar with the new possibility. And so it's being willing.
Let me ask you. So is it true? How many times have you put yourself in unfamiliar, uncomfortable situations?
As often as possible.
Yes.
Because I actually last year I was in Thailand and I got into a cage with a 9-foot tiger. And, I can tell you there was a whole lot of self-talk going on.
Oh, my gosh, right.
Yeah, a whole lot of self-talk. But it's something that a lot of things like, I don't know about skydiving. Well, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll challenge myself because, I'm in my 60s and it's like, for me to have zest for life, I have to continue challenging myself to do different things.
Right.
And I've had the blessings of doing a lot of things. And so now it's like, okay, what can I do to continue stretching myself? Because the more I stretch myself, the more that I can give that experience to others and encourage them to stretch themselves. Because it's having that courage. How many times have your listeners had fear about something, an upcoming meeting or talking to your boss, and then when you actually do it, it's not so bad.
Right.
And that's the same thing. When you let yourself get uncomfortable, you realize, wow, I did it.
Right.
And your self-confidence grows.
Right. And you're talking about being in a cage with a tiger. That's major. But for someone listening, it could be, what if I spend 2018 and I look at another revenue stream? What if I spend 2018 and I love the perceivingly unlovable, or I forgive sooner, quicker, faster? So everyone has their measure.
Right.
And so you hear Sharon's, but find yours. What's the unfamiliar new possibility? And become intimately connected with being willing to live in the unfamiliar. That's the secret sauce, because energy grows where energy goes. Put energy into the new, unfamiliar, versus saying, this is how I've always been.
And here's what I want to add to that conversation. I believe that if you do not put yourself in uncomfortable situations, eventually you get into uncomfortable situations anyway. If you do not learn how to eat properly and you just keep doing whatever you want, eventually your body's going to break down and you're going to go into that uncomfortable place.
Right. And that's why having a mentor is so important, because a mentor is going to be there to challenge you, to open your eyes to possibilities, and to encourage you to step through that door. And sometimes you have to close one door for other doors to open.
That's great. Okay, well, listen, I got to take a break here. We're going to be right back. We're going to be talking about a little bit more about how to get out of your own way and start to generate the life that you were meant to live here.
Huh?
We'll be back with more Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster.
Are you feeling stuck or in a holding pattern with your business or life, and you're not doing the things you want or love? Then at some point, you're going to be faced with a decision. You'll either choose to keep living in your comfort zone and risk a life of mediocrity, or increase your courage, step into your power, and forge into the unknown, where everything new becomes possible. If you're truly ready to live masterfully, then you need Ken D. Foster's newest book, The Courage to Change Everything, Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. This powerful but simple guide provides you with 365 days of life-transforming wisdom, profound questions, and action steps that will increase your strength and open the doors to success. Stop wondering why your business or life isn't working. The answers are available now. Imagine if you had more courage or another chance to start following your dreams. To pick up your copy of The Courage to Change Everything, visit thecouragetochangeeverything.com. That's thecouragetochangeeverything.com.
Would you like to help someone in need to move from poverty to prosperity? Stars of Courage, a 501c3 nonprofit, is looking for established life coaches with experience in education and career mentorship to build confidence and create clear paths to success. Join our team of experienced coaches in a wide variety of fields, equipped with warm hearts with a passion for lifting up those in need. Our Stars of Courage. Find out how you can make a difference at starsofcourage.org. That's starsofcourage.org.
We're back with Voices of Courage. And now your host, Ken D. Foster.
Well, welcome back. Today we are talking about the courage to break through your limits. I have two guests in studio, Sharon Lechter of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and also Lisa Nichols of Motivating the Masses. Today, hopefully, we're motivating you to get out of your own way. And we've talked a lot about that, actually. So any other tips on getting out of our own way, Sharon?
Part of it is really being honest with yourself. And my dad told me a map doesn't do you any good if you don't know where you are and where you want to go. And so do a real honest assessment of where you are today. We talk about being a master of your mind, also being a master of your money. I have to talk about money here, Ken. I got to talk about money.
You got to talk about money, rich dad, poor
figure
dad.
Out, because so many people are financially broken, and we want to support you in getting to where break even, and then from break even to financially free. That process can't start if you don't know where you are, and too many people put their head in the sand when it comes to their own financial position. And so take the time, because even if the report is bad, at least you know where you are, and that knowledge is going to help you feel more confident that you can start taking steps to make it better.
That's good. Okay, so we got to first step. You got to acknowledge where you are. It can't change if you can't acknowledge it. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Lisa, what's the next step here?
I would say whether it's the next step or whether there's parallel with what Sharon just shared, give yourself permission to create something new. Like everything that's showing up and manifesting in your life is a result of the way you think about what you deserve. And so to me, a starting point is to give yourself permission, make amends with all decisions you've made, give yourself grace. Have ease. Recognize that we serve a God of 1,000 second chances. There's no I'm out of time. There's no I've tried too many times. There's no my time is over. There's no I've made too many mistakes. There is now. And if you are willing to press reset, restart, recharge, and you're willing to recommit, then all of a sudden you have a blank canvas with a whole lot of experiences behind you to pull from. So to me, it's giving yourself permission to be worthy and to deserve joy and love and financial abundance. Because if you don't believe you deserve it, you're not going to have the habits. You deserve those things, irregardless of your history, that your past does not equal your future.
Well, listen, that we can do a whole show on deserving. How do we get to feel like we deserve anything, right?
And what does that look like in our daily habits and our daily choices and the way we ask people to treat us?
Right. That's a lot. Well, listen, I want to tell our audience about what you have coming up here, because I know you got a workshop coming up in November. in Florida. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my goal in this season of my life, Ken, is to teach people how to hone and own their voice. Teach them how to use it, whether you're a manager and you're speaking one-on-one, or whether you want to speak one-to-many, or whether you want to just write a book. Everything is a voice and a story. We live through our stories. The griots in Africa were the most revered people because they lived through their stories. They told the stories. And so I teach people twice a year. Once on the East Coast, once on the West Coast. So in November, the first weekend of November, we have an event called Speak and Write to Make Millions. Now, it's Speak and Write to touch millions, inspire millions, and generate millions, and in whatever form you want to do it. And it literally, if you go to our website, motivatingthemasses.com, you get to see a number of different things. But if you want to join us at that conference, then I encourage you, if you want to learn how to own your voice, and you can join us live or via live stream. So you can join us in the room, or you can join us from the comfort of your home, and you still capture everything that's happening on stage. Literally, we have the equal amount of people on the live in the event or at home from 63 different countries.
Wow. And how many days is this? 1 or 2?
It's 3 days.
3 days.
It's
okay.
3
so
days.
it's like a weekend?
And I just take you behind the black curtain.
Yeah.
What does it take? What did it take for me to get up?
Yeah.
What did it take for me to catch my breath?
Yeah.
And what did it take for me to learn how to use my breath and my voice in a way that served not only me, but served the planet in a bigger way than I'd ever imagined? I'm living a life that I never saw. I never knew this was possible. I'm blown away by the life I live. And I left breadcrumbs. I took notes. I wanted to make sure that if you get me to this place, I want to turn around and grab as many people as possible. And so this is one of the ways that we do it. On motivatingthemasses.com, there are also online programs that will just help you sit up straight, catch your breath, pay attention to who you're being and who you've been and who you're becoming. So any way that I can serve, the answer is always yes, yes.
Well, I can assure you, making everybody on this show sit up and pay attention. Yeah. So that's cool. I think that'd be an amazing show. I'm going to let everybody I know that needs that, I'm going to let them know about that.
I
that's
appreciate
awesome.
you.
So Sharon, all right, back to you. Talk to me a little bit about what you're up to. I know you have, it so ties into our show today. You have a new course out, and it's all about Play Big movement. Let's talk about that. What is that, and how can people find it?
It's setting that all those possibilities for yourself, and you can do that by realizing that you can play big. And by playing big, it's not just you trying to be larger than life. It's you actually impacting more people. So the Play Big movement is about being the top in your field, number one in your field, living your legacy, and creating maximum impact. And you can do that by allowing yourself to reach out to your network and expand your networks. When I started the children's talking book industry, we partnered with Disney, Warner Brothers, because we knew that would help us leverage and expand our reach. We'd have instant credibility. And so we were able to take that company from 1 million to 9 million to 23 to 52 million in 4 years because we knew how to play big. And then with Rich Dad, of course, the same thing. Partnering with Warner Books, Time Life, allowed us to make a much larger global impact and build the number one personal finance brand. And so this is how I always lived my life. And then, as I said, 5.5 years ago, I stopped because I lost my son. And then last year, it was like I was actually thinking about retiring. And I got a little pushback from my family and friends saying, no, we don't want you hanging out here.
It ain't over yet, lady.
It ain't over till it's over.
Right.
And as I said, I got a few taps on the shoulder from above saying, get over it, Mom. And so I've made this commitment to play big again. And so I'm really sharing what I'm doing, and I'm inviting everybody to join me through this Play Big movement. And there's a private Facebook group on called Play Big Movement with Sharon Lechter, but come join me because I want to show you what I'm doing to, again, take myself to the next level so that you can do it too. And the course that we're launching is the Play Big course, and it really helps take you not just from financially broken to break even, but from break even to financially free and creating and living your legacy.
I love that.
Wonderful.
Well, both of you, thank you so much for this incredible show. It's been absolutely amazing. And for my audience out there, I just want to say this. All of us have to find our courage. All of us have to find our voice. All of us have to stop the disempowering thinking and start focusing on joy, happiness, what brings that into our life. We are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit to be. We were not born to play a mediocre life. We were all of us born to be all we can be. Step into your brilliance. Step into your greatness. And if you want to find out a little bit more about Voices of Courage and some of my other shows, I encourage you to go to voicesofcourage.us, voicesofcourage.us. And you can also, if you like, you just talk to Alexa or Cortana or Siri and just say, play Voices of Courage podcast. It'll come right up for you. I hope you'll continue to like us on Facebook. Let us know how we're doing. I really appreciate that. And for all of you, until next time, live courageously and see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible.
Amen.
We both said amen.
Thanks for joining us for Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster. Learn more about Ken, how to be a guest on the show, and sponsorship opportunities by visiting voicesofcourage.us. Be sure to join us next Sunday at 10 a.m. as Ken brings more stories of courage that will inspire greatness within you and change your life for the better. This has been Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster.